Our next speaker is a serial entrepreneur. He's experienced in digital transformation and he's applied his skills to financial institutions such as Royal Bank of Scotland, Nationwide, and most recently Nordea. He's one of the few chief digital officers that I know of that is still coding, so respect. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Ewan MacLeod, Chief Digital Officer at Nordea.
Hello everybody. This is PHP and MySQL is my coding language. I still have to defend that every day with our coders in Nordea. It's a real honor to be here. It's my first time in Reykjavik. First time in this part of the world, and it's just, isn't it delightful, the snow on the ground. Love snow, love snow. Right, let's get moving. Stand by for a non-predictable bank presentation. And that is, I'm going to give you a perspective on what is keeping us, brackets, me, awake at night. So many of the issues we heard there from Chris are deeply concerning. I've got some more for you that are worrying us, or actually technically worrying me. Nordea is not worried. Standard bank slide. 30 years ago, we were relationship banking. This is the standard stuff, right? And you can see the iteration to ATM, and then debit and credit cards, then on to the app, and everything is fine. And this is standard stuff. Let's get exciting, ladies and gentlemen. Changing customer expectations. You are my nightmare. You, all of you, friends, family, old, young, grey, blonde, doesn't matter. You're my nightmare. Because you are changing how things work. Here's an example. This is Menu supermarket in Hellerup in Denmark. And this is a classic mature lady here, right? And it's a photo I took of her. I didn't want to identify her. She was shopping just there. I was buying some meatballs for my children. And everything is fine, ladies and gentlemen. Can I ask you about your assumptions? An old lady. Old lady. Okay. And this is the biggest issue that us banks have to deal with. And actually, I see many fintech struggling with this particular issue. Old lady, and therefore she does old things. Yes? So she needs a bank branch because she doesn't have a mobile phone, or maybe she has a phone but she doesn't use it, etc., etc., etc. She only likes to speak about banking. Right? She doesn't like to interact digitally. She is not, ladies and gentlemen, a consumer of meager services. Assumption. She's pushing the trolley. And I am alerted to her, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm getting my meatballs from the chap behind the counter, and I hear the phone ring. It's an iPhone ring, and she does the dance. You know, right? Does the dance. And I think, internally, answer the phone. Yeah, answer the phone. And she's looking in her bag, and she really can't. She's pushing the trolley, and then eventually, ladies and gentlemen, she goes, oh. She gets annoyed, and she goes, oh, hello? She uses her Apple Watch. She pushes her trolley. So yes, She's doing it in Danish, but I know that much Danish. Yeah, tap. She doesn't even switch, disconnect the call. She puts her hand over the phone, the Apple Watch, right? Carries on. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the number one problem I have. The number one. Because I need change to happen at Nordea. I need change to happen across the industry. I need my colleagues across the industry. I need my fintech partners across the industry to get this. The assumption is horrific. She's old, so she doesn't do tech. Shit, that's why we have to have branches, because people like her want to talk about money. And she wants to have a nice conversation. Some do. But an increasing majority of all customers are changing their behavior dramatically. Nightmare. It's a nightmare because of my colleagues and me. I'm certainly not perfect. I'd love to think I am, but I'm not. Because the assumption that we make all the time, without checking with the customer, without checking to see, is that what the customer wants? Is that what the customer needs? That's a big challenge. So it's the Apple Watch was one that really, really surprised me in this particular example. And then when I look across, just in Denmark or across the Nordics, I'm seeing seamless, frictionless, gorgeous applications and services come to market. The mortgage process is still typically the same. That's a problem, because we're seeing innovation all over the place. Mortgages are quite profitable. Lots of people are looking at them. So because of these apps and services, we're having to change real fast. And that's difficult, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's try this. I didn't test it earlier. Let's try this. See if it works. It did work. Can I just give a nod of thanks to the technology guys at the back? Awesome. You recognize the sound? Any hands here? Anyone recognize that sound? Yeah, could you shout out, what was it? Pardon? Apple Pay checkout, yes, Apple Pay. Awesome, nicely done, sir. Thank you for helping. This is the sound of disruption, the sound of disintermediation. I love it. I absolutely love it. By the way, for balance, we launched Google Pay last week. But when we look at Apple Pay and we look at what's happening in technology and the way that you, the customer, we, the customer, are beginning to change our practices, I don't take a wallet out now. I just have my Apple Watch. Double tap and I can pay. That also means that when I'm talking to you about mortgages, I don't need to speak to you. I don't want to speak to anyone. My preference is I want stuff to happen automatically. I want to press a button and something happen. Amazon Go? Familiar with that? I was going to bring a video, and this morning I thought, you don't need to see the video. You've seen the video, right? Yeah, walk out working, it's amazing. I just wanted to highlight another challenge that we've got. And you think, why is a banker talking about Amazon Go? Because we're beginning to see massive change in the way people are consuming services and the way things are being done. This is a problem for us, because all of the assumptions that go into changing that experience are ones that we need to meet as well. And by the way, I'm speaking to the CDO of a very large supermarket chain in North America. They were looking at Amazon Go, and they've had to go, that's their business strategy. Why? Because they asked another technology provider, what would it take? Seriously, genuinely, what would it take? What would it take to do that? The technology provider, the leading technology provider, very big brand, said 7 years. So you're 7 years too late. $500 million US, minimum. And by the way, we think it's $60,000 to $100,000 US a day just to run the GPUs that power the cameras per store. So the strategy of this big supermarket chain is, we'll just need to wait and see. Parting comment from the guy was, I hope we can license it, but probably not. Now, I point this out because these are issues that we're having to deal with, right? The corresponding effect in you and me, the consumer, is that banking needs to get more and more seamless, has to get faster and quicker, and there when I need it. I just loved Chris's example, right? I think one of the metrics that many banks have, including Barclays, I'm sure, is, oh, look, they're logging in. They're logging in. What great engagement. Okay, right, let's run fast, ladies and gentlemen. Drones. Drones, I said I was going to be non-standard. Here, let's be non-standard. And I am delighted to be here in Reykjavik. Insert obligatory Amazon drone video. Well, no. No, ladies and gentlemen, I took it out. I took it out this morning as well. Because, does anyone use this? Is anyone here from Reykjavik that actually uses this drone delivery service? No. Really interesting, because I thought, I'm going to ask the audience and see, are you guys doing this? Because I read about it all the time. And I'm wondering how popular, how useful, and how does this stuff actually work yet? Really interesting, really interesting. But again, the assumption behind it, the new reality is, I want it now, 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 now. A friend of mine sold her house last week. Summer house. And there are no loans on the property, no loans. She just sold the property, and she's expecting to see the money arrive in her account. Pleased to say this isn't Nordea. She phones the bank, failure point 1. The bank say, oh, we haven't received the money, failure point 2. She said, well, you've got the invoice. Oh yeah, we have the invoice. Blah, 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 blah. It's been a week, ladies and gentlemen. She still hasn't got her money. She sold her house in one of the most connected countries where it's possible to be connected, in Denmark. She still hasn't got her money yet. And I can order stuff and have it arrive in 30 minutes. Just normal banking, business as usual is not, and it's continuing to be not. So it's a huge challenge for all of us to keep up. I just wanted to highlight these kind of activities here. The fact that we're soon going to see these things in the streets here in the Nordics, delivering stuff. What does that mean? It means your assumption that you're happy to wait 15 business days for your debit card to arrive isn't going to play very well. The question of saying, could you sign this and then could you return it, please? We need a wet signature. Familiar to us all, even in the Nordics, where we've got digital signatures all over the place. Could you sign it? Could you come to the branch? No. I wanted to highlight this particular one. Direct Line in the UK. Have you come across fleet lights? Just another example of how technology is changing, using really smart use of technology. Fleet lights is run by Direct Line, general insurer in the UK, big insurer. Just let's see if it works. It's working. You're doing great, guys. Thank you. I just wanted to show you this, right? Because it's a different perspective on what's happening in the financial world.
I'm very scared of the dark.
She's afraid of the dark. Can you see what it is yet?
Associate darkness with being unsafe.
Unsafe.
A regular shift here can be quite varying. The evenings and the week are a little bit quieter. It can be a little bit scary at times.
Scary.
A street lamp will only give you light so far, especially the street lamps
Light my
around
way.
here.
Typically, we get called out to find vulnerable missing people. The time that we get the majority of our call-outs is in the evenings. I suppose most of the areas that we get called to don't have particularly adequate lighting. It's often because street lighting is in the towns and cities.
Do you see what it is yet, right? There's a brave rescuer there. Watch the sky.
I definitely think that light is something that everybody needs, especially at night. It's just a source of comfort and a source of safety.
Are you seeing what it is? No.
The most dangerous element of driving.
Let me just stop that there. I wanted to highlight, and God, you guys are doing awesome with the lighting and everything, thank you. This is an insurance company that has said, you know what? What does it mean to be insured? How do we service our customers? And this interests me from a banking standpoint. What new business models exist? Because here, I quite like the idea of being able to subscribe to light. But I press a button and a little drone arrives and follows me home. Or follows my child home on a dark night. Monitors the child's safety. Really interesting. What Direct Line have done, they've put millions into this, I presume. They've actually open sourced the technology so that lifeboats and coast guards and others are using the same technology. Really interesting. But what does it mean when an insurance company does this type of thing and brings it into production? Now, this is a very limited example of the production. So what does that mean for banking? What does it mean for financial services? I think it means a wealth of really, really exciting possibilities. Right. Anyone here with an implant? I'm just wondering if the chap from DNB is here. He's not here. Okay, gotcha. Right. I was speaking recently and he put his hand up. Yes? Wow, that's impressive. This here is an RFID implant. Another thing that we're tracking and looking at very carefully because the ramifications of this one are quite interesting. A friend of mine, Dan, has this technology embedded into his hand, and that's because he works with Russian oligarchs, and he creates their mobile networks. And it's required in the contract, I understand, that he has to wave his hand over the computer to unlock it. That's just how it goes. But it's becoming more and more mainstream. So here is an example. The Swedes in particular really appear to be liking this. 3,000 plus of them have the chip installed now. So you don't have to carry a paper ticket on the train for your morning commute. Here's the interesting question. At what point would we be paying with this technology? Would you have that implant installed? I had a video, but it looked a little bit gory. I think I wasn't going to, decided not to show it to you. But it's a real thing now in Stockholm. There's an office called Epicenter, where there's a video I saw of the BBC did a video walking around this office with all of the individuals who don't have the plastic cards that we have to log in or to get into our offices. It's all in their hand. If you want to work at Epicenter, you can only get in the door if you've got an implant. At what point is Nordea going to require all of our employees to have an implant? We're looking at it. In fact, I'm more interested in actually being able to pay. Even better to not have to carry a phone or watch and just go, paid. What does it mean for you guys? What does it mean for the financial industry, implants and implant technology? Well, it's another thing that we're beginning to worry about. And by the way, here's something interesting. Have you seen this? NorthSense. NorthSense gives you, if you like walking, if you like going out, it's quite useful to know where north is. And what you do is you put this on you here. Not very good if you're female, I presume, but you put it here. And as you're walking, within about 2 hours, you'll be walking along, go, which way is north? Ah, that way. And what it does, it just taps you. A little bit like the tap you get from your Apple Watch. It taps you every time you're facing north. You might think that's annoying, but actually, apparently, I haven't tried it yet. After 2 hours or so, your brain takes that as another sense, that kind of input. You begin to forget it. And then you begin to just without knowing, know where north is. Why is this important? Why am I telling you? Because, we don't actually know. I'm not sure. But what I do know is this technology is existing. People are beginning to use it. And it means that your assumptions and your reality is changing as well. It also means that we need to worry quite carefully about how we stay in business. Not specifically directed to this, but because of these kind of technology trends. Here's another one. Have you seen this one here, this video? Anyone seen this? Quite interesting, Let's see if we can play it.
What's the largest city in Bulgaria, and what is the population?
The screen shows how long it takes the computer to read the words that he's saying to himself.
Sofia, 1.21 million.
That is correct. You just Googled that.
I did.
You could be an expert in any subject.
Mm-hmm.
You have the entire internet in your head.
That's the idea.
Now, this is April, and this is the MIT super advanced crazy place. And what that's doing, that little headset thing there, is it's reading his brainwaves. As I understand it, you can only read 200 words at the moment. But he's able to use that to communicate with Google, and then the first result, is then fed into his ear. He can say, Sophia, 1.2 million. What does this mean? Because this stuff is coming. I was going to play the Google Duplex video. You've seen the thing where the AI phones and makes an appointment for you. Really cool. But it's now-ish. It's coming now. The expectation, your expectation, my expectation shortly will be, make this happen, Nordea. And then the individual that you're interacting with will have to go, yes, done. Because if this is the type of stuff that's going to be production in what, 3 years, 5 years? Call it 10 years. It means a complete change for the whole marketplace. It means a complete change for what it means to offer customer service. #nightmare. And then let me talk to you about the subscription economy. Another one, my number 5, ladies and gentlemen, that's beginning to concern many of us. So we're seeing a move away from ownership to use, pay on use. Now, many of us are familiar with Spotify. All good. Let's talk about housing. It was in Oslo. Interesting stuff happens in Oslo, it seems. It was in Oslo, and I was at one of those kind of graduate events, as you do. And I was standing there, and an individual said to me, I've just moved. And that was his introduction. I said, hello, how do you do? All right, great, congratulations. I said, what do you mean you've moved a house? He goes, yes, I was in an apartment, but now I subscribe to a house. And I said, yeah, sorry, subscribe. He said, yeah, I subscribe to a house. Just tell me, why did you use that word, subscribe? And he said, well, that's what it is, right? It's a young guy, maybe 25, 27. He said, I just upgraded. So I hope you gave some significant thought to that process, because it's the biggest thing that all of us do here. We make a purchase. They said, no, I just upgraded. I just subscribed to it. Here is a massive problem we have, ladies and gentlemen, because we see a move towards subscription, a move to individuals saying, I don't want to pay for the thing, I just want to use it now. That's your problem. And it's a massive problem for the financial industry, for all of our fintechs and all of the banks, because it means the model's wrong. It means the Excel spreadsheet that governs leasing, that governs the purchase of your home, is wrong, potentially. What does it mean to subscribe to a car? What does it mean to subscribe to a bathroom? These are questions that we are playing with right now. Because it gets rather interesting, ladies and gentlemen, rather interesting if you're subscribing to a house or if you're subscribing to the facility. Because routinely now we're having customers ask us. They're not saying, I want to subscribe to a bathroom. No. What they're saying is, look, because they're speaking to us. And we capture this, physically or on the phone. And they're saying stuff like, I'd like a nice bathroom. Okay, all right. Yes, but I don't want to spend 100,000 krona. All right, well, in pass. Yes, but could you, what can you do? And of course, the standard response is, well, go and get some money, or we can lend you some. But routinely now, the question is, what can we do to enable that new bathroom? How can we help you with that requirement? And what does it mean to invest and to pay for something nowadays? These are challenges that we're seeing all across the Nordics. Stand by for some exciting new products from Nordea at some point, hopefully. Right, let me stop there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your patience and for playing along with me. Thank you. Did you get any questions?
We got plenty.
Right.
So let's see if we can take 2 or 3.
Okay, all right. Shall I go for the top? What's the number one IT investment at Nordea? Oh, that's an easy one. Come on. Super easy. Core banking replacement. if you know Nordea. That's the easy one. And because you said IT investment, you could have really got me there by saying, what's the number one digital investment? But the number one IT is certainly we're refitting the core banking just to enable us to try and be able to compete with some of the topics that Chris was pointing out there, because it's all, the infrastructure is old, aging, and we need to be ready with real time, and we've got that coming very shortly. Got some great moves in that. What are you doing at Nordea to help you sleep better? Great question, nice one. We have a super amount of engagement with partners. We are making significant investments, public and otherwise, with our partners together, and then sometimes in terms of acquisition or the like, to embrace this disruption that we're seeing and to embrace this new way of existing. So I think the investments that we're making both internally and externally with partners are helping me actually sleep at night. We've got some great stuff coming. I'm really excited to talk about that. Will we need branches in 10 years? Yes. Yes. Yes, I still think you will fundamentally, Chris's point, the regulatory requirement. If you're a case that I have in my mind, your ID's been stolen, your physical passport's been stolen, and who do you turn to? Of course, the government and your bank. Where do you go? So I still think there's a requirement to go somewhere. And then, is the customer always right? Super interesting question. We should ask the late Mr. Jobs, who disagrees with that. Actually, I think it's an awesome question in the context of, should we always give the customer what they want? But typically speaking, I think as long as you're speaking to customers and taking the perspective from customers, plural, I think you can be guided correctly. But I think that's a really interesting question, because there's a lot of questions around risk, balance sheet, and so on that could stem from that. It's a really interesting one.
Thank you once again, Ewan.
Thank you, man. Thanks a lot. Thank you.